Everybody, Cahlen here, and today my new home came in the mail. Yes, I had my new home shipped to me in the mail, and it packs down and fits in my backpack, and it's right there behind me. Look at that thing. So it's basically a pyramid tent with a stove jack. Right there, you see where right there where you see the chimney coming out, and then you can see right there, there's a little titanium stove which only weighs 4 pounds and gets pretty darn hot, and I can put my pot on there and cook with it, and it takes fairly large sized firewood so it can actually burn for a fairly long time. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. So this is the first time I put it up. I just put it up in my driveway for right now. You can see it's the tent has, I think, 6 or 8, it must be 8 little stakes around it, and then it has this aluminum pole, and the pole goes up and it meets the top there and holds the structure. And then you can see this comes separate. This is the stove jack, and it fits on the tent with Velcro, and this little part rolls up and it can roll back down in case I'm not using this and I want to keep the rain out. But you can see the chimney, and I've got some guy lines attached to it so the wind doesn't blow it over. I just got it attached to this little fence here. And then let's take a look at the stove. Here's got some firewood here. Got my sleeping bag and my sleeping mat. By the way, I got my pillow. I told you guys about that. Look at that thing. What a sweet pillow. Okay. Here's the stove. Let's open it up. And you can see the fire's not going too much. Here, let's get a better view here. It's not going too wild right now. It's going quite a bit more a lot earlier, but I put a big piece of log in it so it slowed it down. And I can latch it here, and then I can open and close. Oops, come on, open and close. I think there's a piece of wood stuck to it. There we go. And then also in back, this thing can open and close the chimney to have more airflow. So tonight I'm going to go ahead and sleep in it, even though I don't really have to since my hut is nearby, but I want to give my new home a try. And then tomorrow, when the stove is all cooled down, I'll pack it all away and I'll show you how compact this gets, and also talk about the weights and stuff. So until then, good night, sleep well, sleep tight. Good morning, everyone. I've already gotten some of the stuff out of the tent, like my sleeping bag, because I just kind of want to focus on these two new elements, the stove and the tent itself, and talk a little bit about how it went. So it got to like 115 degrees Fahrenheit inside the tent when the stove was really going and the door was shut. So that was like, whoa, it's getting pretty warm in here. I'm getting kind of sweaty. And that was actually really nice. I mean, I still have to work on how to balance out, different burns, what kind of wood, how big a piece is, how often, all that type of stuff. But it's good to know that it can get really warm. You basically turn it into like a sweat lodge or something, or like a little sauna, which I think is cool. One issue is that the stove only burns for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you put in big pieces. And so if you want to stay warm while you're sleeping, you have to keep waking up. And that's okay, because that's about a 90-minute sleep period, which is generally what a sleep cycle is. So if you get a full 90 minutes, that was a restful period. And as long as you're not interrupted in the middle of a 90 minutes, then you're good. So you can actually break up your sleep that way. So I just have to figure out a way to make sure that I wake up. But ideally, I can just sleep through the night without having to worry about that. So I still do have to make sure that I can sleep in a sleeping bag without the stove and be warm. And last night, it was pretty cold. It was below freezing. And I did feel pretty cold. So the stove wasn't going, right? So plus, also, when you're really low to the ground, most of the heat's got like, above Like you'll feel it when you sit up, but when you lay down, you don't really feel that heat so much. But I did have my tent, you see it's kind of lifted up off the ground a little bit, letting that cold air come in. So maybe I could try tilting the backside where I'm sleeping down against the ground and leave the vents. Because you want some airflow going on, because you are combusting things, and you can end up in a carbon monoxide type situation if there's not enough oxygen in there. So okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the chimney, and I'll show you a little bit about how that thing works. Okay, so here's the chimney. This is the spark arrestor. This makes it so, this is the top of the chimney. It makes it so sparks are less likely to make it all the way back down and land onto your tent fabric and burn a hole. I did actually get a hole in the first night, so I luckily have something called tenacious tape, which is very, very, very good tape for repairing those types of things. And so I fixed the hole easy. I'm not really too worried about getting a lot more holes, because I have the tape, and I have a good amount of the tape. Okay, so it just slides off. The pipe fits in there. You can see it's pretty sooty already. Like, I think 2 more nights and these top ones would be clogged, right? So I'm gonna have to find a way to clean that regularly, and ideally in a very easy way. So if you got some ideas for that. So then there's the pipe. Now it's just a big sheet of, there's stuff in there. There's a big sheet, it's just a big sheet of titanium. So you can see it's just rolled onto itself. See that? And then it's got these little rings which hold it in the right shape, and they go all the way down. And the first time you roll this thing, it doesn't want to roll this way, and so it's a giant pain in the butt. And I managed to do it by myself. You're supposed to try to do it with 2 people, but you can see I've got a lot of dents in it, and these dents are now going to be kind of permanent, because the first time you fire it, the first time you use it, you set that shape. So now that I've set the shape of it rolling this way upon itself, it'll just roll that way upon itself basically automatically. And then when I put this away, I'm just going to take all these rings off, and it's going to roll out, and then it's going to roll up the long way, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's all rolled up. Alright, this is what it rolls up to. See? That whole giant chimney, which was like 9 feet tall, all rolled up, and super lightweight. So next I am going to just show you the stove itself. It's still a little bit hot, so I have to wait a little bit, and then we'll go over how to take down the tent. Okay, so again, here's the door. It's all emptied out, and basically what I'm going to do is there are these clips on the side here, and these are nice because most of these stoves come with things that you have to screw on, and like little wing nuts and stuff, and these things can get lost, and if you lose too many of those things, then you are not able to use your stove anymore until you find other supplies. Okay, so whoops. See, it's already folding down. So here's the top, and you can see this is the, what do they call that? I knew that last night, but I don't know it now. So, and the top's just gonna sit on top of this thing after we fold it. So this is the first time I've done this, so I'm gonna see if I can figure it out. Oh, and also the legs fold. Yeah, it's just like, look at that. Oop. Super easy, super thin, super lightweight. And then I just stack this on top of it, and then I'll put it in this bag when it's done. So this is it packed away. It's got a couple of straps that hold it together, and then also a strap that holds it into the bag, and also another strap that holds the chimney and the spark arrestor in the bag as well. and then it closes and zips up. And it's got a couple handles, and it's 4 pounds. That's it. Crazy. Alright, now all I have to do is to take the tent down, and that's going to be really easy because all I have to do is take this aluminum pole out. But I think that's a really cool thing to show you. So basically I'll just show you the pole, then I'll take the tent down without the camera and show you how everything looks packed up. Okay, so all I have to do is lift up on it and kind of pull it out from where it's attached at the bottom here, and just let the tent come down. And the cool thing about this is now that this is super compact. So these are the stakes. There's 8 of them, and there's a few more for the actual guy lines if you actually want to do those. So it comes with quite a few stakes. These are probably where a lot of the weight is actually coming from for the pack. And you know, these already, one night you can see it's kind of bent. These are aluminum, and I have some much lighter weight titanium ones, and next time I put this up I'm going to try those instead because those would be much lighter than hauling these around. Okay, I've got it all packed away and I'm going to put it in my backpack. Here's the 4-pound stove. Just sits down there at the bottom. And then this was all that tent came out to be. And then the pole, I just put in this little pouch on the side here, and then I put it underneath this little thing. I might even have this strap go through the middle of them, and then I'll tighten that down, and then this isn't going to go anywhere. And I also put my fishing pole and my tripod for filming, and also my wizard staff also collapses down like this. And in fact, I might even see if I can get the wizard staff, the carbon fiber staff that I have, to be the support for the tent, because that's going to save me a lot of weight. Right now the tent's about 3 pounds even with this thing. If I get rid of this thing, that's probably another pound that I lose, and I'm already carrying the wizard staff. So basically the way it is, I get shelter from rain, wind, and you know, I get a little bit of privacy, you know, and also I get a stove where I can cook my food and I can stay warm and I can dry out my gear. And that's only 4 pounds, so 3 plus 4 is 7. And that's, you know, it's a rough estimate, but that's about 7 pounds for what people, you know, some people have giant houses, which just to fill those needs, and then with a lot of other stuff that they don't really need. But you can fill those needs for a few pounds and plenty of space left in your backpack, right? I can put a ton more stuff in here, and yeah, I think it's really cool. I think I also like with the stove in here now. The bag's starting to get a little bit heavy. You know, 4 pounds isn't much, but when you add it with everything else, like all the food and the water that I'm carrying, the stove is something that I'll probably be carrying in my solar electric bike, which is like a bike packing bike, and that's basically, I'll just put the heavier stuff in there. And then I have going back to an older video where I talked about fractal survival. You want to kind of have multiple situations which have similar elements in them. For example, in my solar e-bike self-survival bike situation, I can have a stove which is fairly large, but also while that's packed in my bike, I have another little wood stove, which I've showed in a few other videos, which I can use to heat a pot, and so I can basically still cook with that. So it's like a fractal situation. If I ended up with just my backpack, I still have a stove. I have a really light stove, and it's not a stove that's going to heat a tent anymore, but I still am fulfilling the need of a little bit of heat and also being able to cook. So yep, that's my rundown on the new home, my tent and my camping stove. And I'll put links down where you can get it. I don't make any money from this. I'm just telling you about it because I think it's cool and I think it may be helpful to you. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll share it with someone that you care about. It helps them, it helps me, and it'll help you feel like a healthy type of person. If you're feeling extra generous, you can head on over to cahlen.org/gift, and there you can basically learn of ways to help me feed myself, shelter myself, and to upgrade and repair my gear. All donations give you the option of having a 1-hour life coaching call with me. So, thanks again for watching.